the greatest economic impact. And I want to say a few words about another aspect of today's announcement, in which we're building a stronger Canadian defence industry. Strengthen Canada's defence and industrial base through long-term, predictable partnerships with the best in Canadian companies like GDLS Canada to work more closely with our government to build those sovereign capabilities. The equipment that our armed forces needs. Companies selected as strategic partners commit to invest in Canadian research and development, the kind of R&D that happens right here, to grow domestic supply chains, the kind of supply chains that GDLS Canada has, and hire Canadian workforce and, wherever possible, union workforce. And I want to give a shout out to Unifor for their contribution. And what happens in return is that the federal government will act as an anchor customer, will accelerate approvals, and will open doors to new export markets. Commitment's simple. When Canadian companies build for Canada, Canada will build right alongside them. We launched this framework less than 2 months ago at CanSec, and today we're announcing, as you know, GDLS Canada will be our first strategic partner. That's the kind of decisive and quick action that Canadians expect and this moment demands. Now, it's been nearly 50 years right here in London that GDLS Canada began building vehicles that has carried Canada's strength around the world. Vehicles that turn Canadian steel and ingenuity into Canadian security. Today, we're renewing that strength. We're ensuring it's built in Canada by Canadians. Nous allons réinvestir pour rebâtir et réarmer les forces canadiennes. Nous accordons aux membres de nos forces armées la plus importante augmentation salariale depuis une génération, car leur rémunération doit être à la hauteur de leurs responsabilités. Nous avons déjà atteint l'objectif de 2% fixé par l'OTAN en matière de dépenses militaires pour la première fois depuis la chute du mur du Berlin. Et cet objectif ne constitue pas un plafond pour les investissements du Canada dans le domaine de la défense, mais plutôt une référence. Notre cadre budgétaire prévoit déjà des mesures visant à consacrer 4% de notre PIB à la défense d'ici la fin de cette décennie. Nous avons également lancé la toute première stratégie industrielle de défense du Canada et mis sur pied l'Agence de l'investissement pour la défense afin de réduire les délais, de renforcer les partenariats et de répondre aux besoins de nos forces armées et de notre économie. Canada is stepping up to protect ourselves and our allies. And if we're going to deter Russian aggression in the Baltic states and across Europe, if we're going to ensure a just and lasting peace in Ukraine, if we are to assert our full sovereignty in the Arctic, and if we're to defend and promote our values of freedom, democracy, peace, we must do so from a position of strength. If we want a stronger world, if we want a safer world, we need a stronger Canada. Let me finish with this. Every day, the women and men serving in the Canadian Armed Forces make Canada stronger. They deserve the very best equipment that this country can build. And the very best this country can build is made right here at GDLS Canada. Thank you for what you do, and I look forward to your questions.
Hello, sir. Nathaniel Dove from Global News. Prime Minister, we're looking for more information on the deal to open the Gordie Howe Bridge. Canada spent $6.4 billion to build it. Is the Canadian debt repayment on the bridge included as expenses before profits are split with the U.S.?
Well, let me say, first of all, that we're very pleased that the prospect of the bridge reopening later this month, or opening later this month. This is good for Canada, good for the United States, both in the short term and the long term. What we have with the agreement with the U.S. Is as follows. And let me start with what it isn't. It's not splitting the tolls of the bridge. It is an agreement for 15 years to split net revenues. Splitting of tolls, any sharing of the toll revenue won't happen until all of the debt is repaid. We will split net revenues over the course of the first 15 years, and those net revenues are after operational costs. So it's manning the toll booths, it's maintenance, it's snow removal, a series of other operational costs. We expect that after those costs, for the first few years, net revenues will be modest. In fact, we expect them to be negative, as traffic ramps up. So negative to modest in the first few years. And what's been designed is an alignment of incentives so that when the splitting begins, all of the portions that go to the U.S. government will be reinvested in economic development, regional economic development in the area, the U.S. side of the area, obviously, which is pro-cyclical. It reinforces, more traffic, higher revenues, more investment, and that's the way it moves forward. The underlying agreement that we have with Michigan remains the same. And so no sharing of tolls until all the debt is repaid. So it's a good deal for both sides. It gets things moving, and that's in the spirit of today's announcement, which is to get things moving.
Are you able to provide more information about the deal? Some sources to us and to Bloomberg and Reuters are saying it's a 50% split, I guess, once the sharing starts happening. And if this is a Canadian project, why did you have to start giving? Why did you decide to start giving some of the revenue away?
The first thing is you quoted the overall amount of the capital investment of the project, around $6.5 billion. What we're talking about is very modest relative to the size of that. Okay, that's the first thing, just to give a sense. The second is that, as I'm going to repeat myself, but I think it's an important point, that it's aligned, the incentives are aligned here because the reinvestment in regional economic development on the Michigan side, mainly the Michigan side, that's obviously good for Michigan, but it's also good for Canada because it's going to reinforce the traffic. So we see the incentive alignment as a reasonable discussion. It's a good deal for Canada, good for the U.S., and it's great for both countries to have this bridge open, and we're looking forward to it.
Is it 50%?
Thank you. Next question.
Mr. Prime Minister, Jerry DeWan from CTV News London. This region has among the highest unemployment levels of anywhere across the country. How are we looking to use this to address those concerns? Yeah, well,
my caucus colleagues from the region are here. We are very focused on exactly this issue. Part of the answer is in today's announcement. It's providing not just the scale of the investment, but also the certainty of a partnership. So longer-term certainty, which of course is going to help GDLS invest and build out as well. And this is where some of the international travel that we've been doing, the international meetings we've had, the deepening of our partnership with NATO, our agreement, for example, with Europe to be part of their defense procurement, the work we're doing with Gulf allies. This is where it starts to come together because it reinforces the efforts of the company which has always been very successful in exports. About 80% of the production goes for export from here, but it's reinforcing that opportunity in this more dangerous world. So that's a component in the defense sector, the defense industrial sector. At the same time, we need to help build out the supply chain in this sector and other sectors. So, for example, Minister, an example. This is one of many examples, but with tool and die makers in the region, who can be suppliers, moves forward. Of course, as well, we are with them on getting the right deal for that, and more broad diversification. Tariff response fund, which is going directly back in here, where we're pleased with the scale of the challenge. There's a common thread to what we're doing, is we're focusing on what we can control. Solutions with other export partners that help and beyond.
Most of the challenges in this region stem from
one of the things that we've been doing, and it's starting to come in for investment in plant and equipment and manufacturing. In fact, not just plant and equipment, months, the most attractive tax rate. So that means plant and equipment, it means R&D, it means but when you wrap that all together, it puts us in a is less than half the G7 average. Critical mass that way.
Thank you. Next question.
I guess I just wanted to start by clarifying something you mentioned. Additional new 6,000 jobs, or for example, are the employees?
But what we're getting is you get the certainty of those who are actually running the business. But I can tell you from my and the quality of the product and the relationships that we're that's where you start to see the big increments, but the certainty cements those jobs. The supply chain, what they built out, gets that extra 10,000 across. What?
You're talking about the spin-off effect and the benefit that investment like this. Them, they're finding it hard to sort of like even getting to be part.
Yeah. Okay. So the core of your question is something. One of the key elements of a strategic partnership. They can mean joint R&D, but also through RMPs and others to work with companies. National defense wouldn't have done in the past. But one of the things their company on them being Canadian, obviously, and putting them in the room that perhaps had supplied other aspects. They make their decisions accordingly, but providing to protect Canadians, protect our allies, and then making those connections. Building out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question. Prochaine question.
Much of central Canada is dealing with wildfires and smoke pollution as we believe these current climate conditions are a sign we should lean into our
Absolutely agree. And it's not leaning, it's those climate targets. We've relied too much necessary to reduce emissions. So we've shifted our focus. Core to that is the electricity strategy, which we're currently considering a couple of decades, a grid that's almost 85% clean. The challenges in affordability in various ways. So we need to do it in a we have amongst the lowest electricity costs in the world. We want with major investments, and what you see is our low carbon. So that new oil pipeline as a %90 of the vehicles on Alberta roads. As another precondition is a carbon market that actually works. Is that theoretically the carbon price is over has fell to about $20. So the effect and we're shifting the approach to make sure that there isn't a gap and back. It's climate is a global issue. We're the only countries, I think we are the only country who's obviously globally get emissions down outside of Canada.
Thank you. Provinces that Alberta is getting a better carbon price under their
one of the issues that we'll talk about, which is, and you know, its own carbon market linked in with California, so I'm going to put. We've structured the carbon market with Alberta. It does. Given the difference in the price, but it actually creates an ability to have a provinces with parts. So we're not going to announce that or decide that. One Canadian economy. Canadians want one economy, and they want across the country. We need to amp that up. There's progress has been made. Strategy and making major progress on that, and the federal government will put on the table. Thank you.
Last.
Monsieur Carney, qu'est-ce que ça vous fait de voir que le Canada s'éloigne de ses cibles climatiques sous l'action? Ça vous fait de voir que le nord de l'Ontario brûle en ce moment alors le gouvernement?
Ouais, non, c'est OK. Notre de notre gouvernement, je viens d'arriver. OK, j'y viens. On a des règles et des lois et des conflits avec nous sommes en train de changer, de mettre l'accent sur l'investissement afin de réduire des stockages de carbone du monde, équivalent de mobile de l'Alberta. On a des réductions importantes, de fonctionnement du marché du carbone en Alberta. On fait des grandes choses afin d'avoir d'investissements et de l'énergie propre. C'est l'action, pas des prohibitions, qui est plus importante.
Comment répondez-vous aux élus américains qui demandent au Canada d'en faire
Une contribution des Américains dans la lutte OK. Maintenant, nous mettons l'accent sur l'investissement. L'énergie éolienne, c'est une. Nos efforts à l'échelle mondiale. C'est la responsabilité de tout le monde, vraiment tout le monde.
Merci. Cela conclut notre conférence de presse. That ends our conference.